Hello everyone, my name is Shannon and welcome to Shannonland. Today, let's learn how to learn. Before we start talking about the learning styles, let's do a super shallow, quick breakdown of how our memory works. There are two types of memory: working, or your short-term memory, and long-term memory. Long-term memory is where we want this information that we're learning to go. And working memory is kind of where we keep it occupied while we're thinking about it and while we're working with it, hence the name. And there's kind of a dispute whether your working memory and your short-term memory are the same thing, or if they're kind of different, or what they are. So let's just talk about your working memory. But we're not going into the deep details about it. All you have to know is that it's not there forever, and where we want our information to be is our long-term memory, and it gets there through a process called encoding. Now, encoding happens when we believe that our information is either visually, acoustically, or semantically relevant. Now, this is where learning styles enter the picture. So there are visual learners, auditory, verbal, and kinesthetic learners. Visual learners need to see it, auditory learners need to hear it, verbal need to read or write it, kinesthetic need to touch it. Now, the classical American school system is set up for verbal learners, so I'm going to skim over them. Let's go over our visual learners first. These types of learners work best when they can visualize the information and create a picture in their head about how a concept is being put to work. So some hot tips: draw pictures and write brief descriptions. Use color-coded notes that make sure that you highlight any information you want to stick out in your brain. So if a teacher says this is going to be on a test, highlight that with a color that's going to stick in your brain. And utilize flashcards, because it's a good visual tool to be able to put information in front of you, and you can draw pictures and then the description on the back. Sit up front so that your teacher is right there in front of you and you can see what's going on. And you kind of have minimal distractions when you're up front. It's also really helpful, and this is for any type of learner, that if your teacher's providing the materials, whether it's online or anything like that, utilize that so that you can turn the information she's giving you into what you need to learn. Next are our auditory learners. These people need to hear it, it needs to be out loud. My top tips for you is to record yourself talking out loud about new concepts and explain them to yourself. So sit in front of a video camera, go, okay, first concept, blah, 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 blah. This is how it works. This is why it works. And that's going to be really helpful in putting out loud what your thoughts are. And that's going to help you encode your information. Next is to see if you can find your textbooks as an audiobook. If you can't, record yourself going over the chapters and then listen to them, and then re-listen to them. If you don't like your voice, see if you can find someone who will record it for you, and record your lectures and kind of make an audio notes version of your, you have your written notes because you can't be talking over the teacher. But then as soon as you get home, take those notes and turn them into an audio version of them. So you can listen to them back and you can kind of have a conversation with yourself out loud. And finally, sit where you can hear the teacher best. This isn't always where you can see the best, it's where you can hear the best. So it's typically closer to the teacher and kind of, it doesn't really care if you can see the screen or whatever their visual aid is. Finally, let's go over our kinesthetic learners. Where are you at? You learn better when you are on the move, when you can touch it, when you can feel it. So my top tip is when you are going over your notes or if you're reading, don't be afraid to move. You don't need to sit still. If you need to fidget, if you need to get up and walk around while you're reading, that is fine. Move. Make your learning mobile. Another hot tip is if you like to work out a lot, maybe combine the auditory portion and listen to your notes while you're working out. Another good tip is if you can turn the concept into something concrete you can work with, then do it. Like if you're trying to learn the bones, the human bones, kind of create your own little skeleton that are with all the labeled bones and put them in place. Move them around. Make it so that you can touch it and feel it and work with it. And I know that it's not always a good tip, so back to the mobile tip. Stay mobile, stay physical with your learning. Make sure you can touch it, feel it, and work with it. Also, if you're a kinesthetic learner, you tend to get bored very easily just sitting there. So take frequent and short breaks. Thank you guys so much for learning how to learn with me. Links for all my resources are going to be in the description, as well as the music I use in this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Have a great rest of your day, guys. Bye!